Have you ever been in a relationship that broke your heart, drained your energy, even exhausted you, yet you still couldn't leave? You knew you weren't happy. You once promised yourself, this will be the last time. But then, just one message, one promise, or a wave of beautiful memories, and you went back. That loop kept repeating. And then you ask yourself, what am I doing? Why am I so weak? But you know what? The problem isn't your weakness. And it's not because you love them too much. The problem lies within you. In the things this relationship has awakened, old wounds, fear of being alone, a feeling of never being enough. This isn't just a relationship. This is a psychological trap. You're not tied to the person. You're tied to the emotions they make you feel, hope, fear, those fleeting moments of, maybe they'll change. In this video, we'll dive into the psychology behind toxic relationships, and more importantly, how to get out of them. Not with logic alone, but with awareness and healing from within. If you've ever felt stuck, this video is for you. Stay until the end, because you deserve a life where pain doesn't disguise itself as love. Love doesn't just happen naturally. It's not like seeing someone and instantly loving them with your whole heart. Love, or more precisely, how we love, is something shaped very early on. It's programmed into our minds when we're just children, sometimes even before we know what love means. From the moment we're born, our brains begin associating safety with the people who take care of us. If our parents held us when we cried, comforted us when we were scared, and were consistent in how they loved us, our minds learned that love is steady. It's something we can trust. A place to lean on when we're weak. But what happens if your childhood love came with rejection, silence, anger, or even harm? Then you learn something very different, that love must be earned, endured, and isn't always there. As you grow up, you might be drawn to people who love you halfway, sweet one moment, cold the next. You don't know why, but a part of you finds that feeling familiar. And so, you dive into relationships that make you feel like, if I'm good enough, if I'm patient enough, maybe this time will be different. But the truth is, you don't love that person, you're trying to heal an unfinished story from your past. Love shouldn't make you anxious every time you send a message. It shouldn't leave you sleepless from being ignored. And it certainly shouldn't make you sacrifice yourself just to keep it alive. Understanding this is the first step to breaking free from the toxic emotional cycles you may have grown used to. Have you ever felt like your relationship was a roller coaster? One moment sweet and magical like a fairy tale. The next moment, cold, violent, or suffocatingly silent. But just when you feel ready to let go, they suddenly come back, soft and gentle, melting all your defenses. You think, maybe they still love me. But the truth might run deeper, and hurt more, you're addicted to the feeling. Sounds strange, doesn't it? But psychologically, a toxic relationship can work just like an addiction. There's a concept called intermittent reinforcement, a well-known term in behavioral psychology. Psychologist B.F. Skinner once studied how rats responded to rewards. If they got food every time they pressed a lever, they'd get bored quickly. But if the reward was random and unpredictable, the rats would press non-stop, frantically, because they never knew when the reward would come. In a toxic relationship, that reward is love. It's the apology after days of being ignored. The hug after being hurt. The sudden attention after being dismissed. Because it arrives unexpectedly, after pain, silence, and being belittled, your brain releases a surge of dopamine. You feel alive again, hopeful again, like maybe things can change. And so, you're hooked back into the cycle. You don't love them, you're addicted to the feeling of being loved again after being abandoned. The cruel part is, this pattern trains you to settle for less. At first, you demanded respect. Later, even a simple, "I miss you," is enough to melt you. The truth is, if they treated you badly all the time, you would have left long ago. But because they give you just enough hope at just the right time, you keep staying, even though you're hurting. Have you ever been in this situation? You notice something off, a lie, a strange action. You try to speak up or express how you feel. But instead of listening, they say, "You're too sensitive. Why make such a big deal out of nothing? You're imagining things." At first, you're angry. Then you start to doubt. And slowly, you begin to question yourself. That's not a coincidence. You're being subjected to a dangerous psychological tactic called gaslighting, a manipulation that makes you question your emotions, memories, even your sanity. Gaslighting doesn't harm you through violence. It erodes your inner trust, until you start to believe, maybe I really am the problem. You start apologizing when you've done nothing wrong. You replay conversations over and over, trying to see if you were too much. You even look for evidence against yourself. And the result? You become completely dependent on their version of reality. Worse still, gaslighting is often paired with another tactic, projection. They lie, but accuse you of being dishonest. They cheat, but blame your jealousy. They get angry, but say you're the one causing drama. When these two tactics combine, you're trapped in a psychological maze with no exit. And every time you try to escape, all they need to do is offer a bit of affection, an apology, a hug, and you stay, hoping. Maybe this time they'll really change. The truth is, once you no longer trust yourself, it's easy to trust anyone, even the one who's hurting you. Toxic relationships don't just break your heart. They distort your perception, so you forget what's right, what's wrong, and worst of all, you forget who you are. One of the hardest parts about leaving a toxic relationship isn't love, it's the fear of being alone. You might have thought, if I leave, will anyone else ever love me? What if I never find someone better? Or worse, maybe, this is the best I can get. Those thoughts didn't come out of nowhere. They were shaped by the erosion of your self-worth, by the very relationship you're trying to save. You used to be someone joyful, confident, full of dreams and individuality. But over time, you were convinced that you only deserve broken pieces of love. And so, instead of leaving, you wait. You cling to those rare sweet moments, to promises like, "I'll change, just give me one more chance." You convince yourself, "If I try harder, love more, sacrifice more, they'll see my worth." But you forget one crucial thing. Someone who doesn't want to change, will never change, no matter how much you love them. You're not in love with the real person. You're in love with an idea in your head, a perfect image that doesn't exist. And sadly, every time they hurt you, you don't walk away, you find reasons to forgive. No one teaches you that sometimes, love means knowing when to let go. No one tells you that true love doesn't come from enduring pain, especially not from sacrificing yourself to the point of losing who you are. And you know what? Loneliness isn't as terrifying as being with someone who makes you feel alone, even when they're lying right next to you. It's time. Not time to hope they'll change, but time for you to change how you see yourself. Because healing doesn't start with someone else. It starts the moment you stop living in illusions, and find the courage to face the truth. Many people know they're in a bad relationship. They're fully aware of the pain, the lies, the manipulation, and the deep loneliness they endure every day. And yet, they still can't leave. Why is that? The answer is, leaving a toxic relationship isn't just a decision made with logic. It's a real emotional detox. You're not just ending a relationship. You're separating yourself from an emotional source you've unknowingly become addicted to. Like detoxing from a drug. You got used to the anxiety every time they were distant. You got used to the rush every time they finally texted after days of silence. Your brain was wired to interpret those small acts as love. And now, as you begin to step away, your brain reacts with emptiness, anxiety, even panic, because you've lost your familiar stimulation. Light bulb. So, how do you break free from this emotional addiction? 1. Cut off all contact, no contact. No calls, no texts, no watching their stories, no secretly checking their Facebook. Every time you reconnect, even silently, you re-trigger the entire addiction cycle. Don't make excuses like, just to see if they're okay, or, just one question. Every message is a spark. And you deserve healing, not to be burned all over again. 2. Push through emotional withdrawal. The early days will be the hardest. You'll miss them. You'll replay good memories. You'll ask yourself, was I being too sensitive? Do they miss me too? Don't believe those questions, they're not truth. They're your mind resisting change, like an addict struggling through withdrawal. Write down a list of every time they hurt you. Every lie. Every time they made you feel small. And when the emotions return, read it. Remember why you had to leave. 3. Rebuild yourself, from what you lost. What did you lose because of them? What dreams did you stop chasing? What friends did you cut off? What activities once made you feel alive, but you gave up? Now is the time to take them back, step by step. Start exercising. Read books. Rediscover old hobbies. Reconnect with people who love you unconditionally. Emotional detox is a process, not easy, not quick. But once you get through it, you'll look back and realize, I saved myself. And that's something no one else can do for you. There will come a moment when you must make a choice. To keep trading your mental health, your emotions, your self-worth, for a love that never really existed. Or to stop. Stand up. And choose to love yourself instead. I know you hoped. You tried. You waited for something to change. But the truth is, no one is coming to rescue you. There's no magic. There's no someday when everything suddenly becomes okay. There's only you, and the decision you make today. That you deserve a life of peace. A love that doesn't make you question your worth. A journey where you don't have to lose yourself just to stay. Maybe that voice in your head is still whispering. What if I'm wrong? What if they really will change? What if I never find someone else? But you know what? Those aren't your true thoughts. They're echoes of your wounds. They're the result of being made to believe, for far too long, that you weren't enough. The truth is, you've always been enough. For a long, long time. And once you start believing that, you won't just leave a toxic relationship. You'll begin an entirely new journey. The journey back to yourself.